here at the pre-show for the Buyers and Sellers Show. I'm Jay Skinner, and I'm glad to have you here. We'll start in just a couple minutes here once everybody gets on board. I'm Jay Skinner, and this is the Buyers and Sellers Show. We're here every Friday morning at 10:35 Eastern Time live. These shows all pile up on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and you can just go to my website, www.thejayskinner.com, and see what I do and see the shows. This is one of the most valuable shows we've probably ever done, because just about all of us are online these days and doing this video live like I'm doing right now. Have you become a master over the last couple of years, or could you use some help? That's what you're going to get today. And we're live. And I'm Jay Skinner. So glad to have you here. This is the Buyers and Sellers Show. And you see me here in my Go Live or Die t-shirt that was given to me as a gift by Mr. Bradley Beck, friend of mine, friend of the 959 Club, and part of the Gittimer crowd, our group that we're all friends with Jeffrey Gittimer. And it was manufactured by Mr. Ron Goodwin of Goodwin Graphics. And he's another one of our friends and our group. So this was inspired by, and me being live today, the way you see it here, was inspired by a book by Jeffrey Gittimer. And I'm going to show that to you right here. It says Jeffrey Gittimer, Go Live. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Recommend that you get that book. And I would say some of what we're talking about today would be in that book. Some of this is other stuff. But what I'm trying to do is create here over the next 30 minutes a quick hit of special and important tips to going live that will work if you have Zoom meetings coming up, or you're going to do a presentation online. If you're doing a show like this periodically and you go live, let me share some very specific things you can do to make it more professional and make it more well received, that you're not getting complaints necessarily, but your message may not be getting through like you would like it to, and you don't even know it. And the recipients don't even know it, because really kind of complacency and mediocrity as it comes to this are some of the things that people are suffering from all over. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you simply don't know what to do, haven't been trained in it. And so this is your opportunity to learn exactly how to approach going live, being prepared, set up properly, understand some of the variables, and you'll just be better at it. You may or may not get comments from people saying, oh, your video is so much better, or your presentation seems so much more understandable. That's all right. But you will at least know it is. And then when you record yourself, which you should always do, you can look back and say, oh, I'm getting better. This is show number 70. Can you believe this? 70th consecutive Friday of the Buyers and Sellers Show since I started this. And I'm so thankful. And this goes out all over the world. And it's been a lot of different topics. And every now and then I'll have some guests in. I do a lot of solo shows like this where I'm just riffing on a topic. And I'm glad that's one of these shows. We're going to talk about this topic. And one of the things here is that I want to encourage you to jump in there and make comments. And as you look at this, I've got a screen here, a screen here, a screen here. I got a screen down here on this. Yeah. And so there's a lot of things going on here to manage. And I'm using a program called StreamYard, StreamYard.com, StreamYard.com. I recommend it. And they have various levels of subscription from free to where you have more options. And I just suggest that you get on there and try it and see if you like it. If you're going to be doing this sort of broadcasting, it's wonderful to be able to broadcast on multiple platforms at the same time and put up things like this. And it's like, welcome. And we talk about the silver rule. And what is that? Is do unto your vendors the way you want your customers to do unto you. Think about that. And then I talk about the green rule, which is do for yourself what you're asking other people to pay you to do for them. And think about that too. Is there consistency and integrity within your own arena, that you own what you sell, and that whatever it is you're promoting and telling people to do, you actually do it yourself. And you may catch yourself on a few little things and go, oh, actually I should do this or do that. You should. That's the green rule. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through I've got a list of points. And at the same time, over here in comments, I want to encourage you, and I'm going to look here. It says, hi. There you go. Randall says, well done, Jay. Hey, Randall from Trinidad. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hope you like this. In these comments, I want everyone to get on board and ask questions specifically if something comes to mind, and we'll be sure to address that. And then any comments that you have or recommendations, I know within my audience, I've got people that go live regularly themselves, and you may have some tips and tricks and ideas that you want to throw out there. And I want you to know you're welcome. This is a collaborative effort. So let's talk about getting started. And right now, to tell you, if I have 3 screens here, my main screen with the picture and my notes that I use is ordinarily right here in front of me. But today, for at least the beginning here, I'm leaving that main screen open because I want to show you something that is critical and important to getting started. And I've actually left some of this to do so that you can see, and you may even see a difference. One thing is, when you're getting started, is you have background programs always going. And I'm going to share my screen here, and then you can, there we go. Do like that. There we go. And we're going to talk about pausing background programs, lighting settings, and how that all works. So here's what we're going to do. First of all, let's look at this screen right here and go down here to this lower right hand. You see, you have the same idea, and there's programs that are there, some of which you don't really need, and all of them are dragging down your memory. So what you do is you go to these programs, and I have multiple anti virus type programs on here. So I can shut my Malwarebytes off, okay, like that. And oh, there you go. Hope we're still on. There we go. And then let's look, what other programs do I have in the background that are just running? Here's TeamViewer. We can get rid of that. All these things will drag you down. In fact, in the course of this broadcast, you may see some improvement in the broadcast as I'm knocking these things off. Over here was my Google Drive that I synced to my hard drive, and I've already paused it. And let's see if I have any other programs in here that I want to shut down. Okay, there's my Carbonite. This is my online backup program. And I'm going to hit this and launch Carbonite. Boom. And we're going to pause that thing. Boom, like this. If you don't have a backup program, oh my gosh, you need to get one. We'll just pause it for an hour here to be safe, and it'll come back on. So just a reminder, you want to do that. But anything that's happening here in the background that you can get rid of, um, it's time to do it. There's a Zoom in the background. Oh, kill that for right now. Don't need that. Okay, there we go. Then now I'm pretty much got everything I need to get out of the background. There's my Outlook that kind of hides there in the background. And one of the reasons is my Outlook's on. I want to turn that off. So I'm going to go over to this screen where Outlook is on. And I'm going to do right click. And I'm going to close that window. I'm going to close that thing out because that will drag you down. Okay, so now you see how that works. And then the other thing that you want to do, and I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to bring something else over. There we go. Put this on the screen, and you go, that's interesting. Take a look at this. If you go to speedtest.net, boom, speedtest.net. This is the app version of it. You can use it on the browser as well, or you can download the app. But this is speedtest.net. And I'm going to hit go here. And what you want to do is you want to see what your internet speed is. And are you in a position to actually achieve a successful broadcast? And so what it's going to do is going to give us what they call the ping, download speed, and the upload speed. And from a ping standpoint, it's like that's the number of hops it needs to go till it gets to the last server in the group that's being broadcast around the world. And that's my easiest description. You computer guys out there may be able to give me a better description, but here's the deal. Look at my download, 336. That's great. I pay for 700 and something. And then show me an upload of 1.46 and I pay for 20. So it's possible you're getting some latency right now because my upload is going to pot. So I'm going to turn that off and hope that my upload should be at least 6 or 7 or 8. And so that's kind of a concern to me this very minute. Before I went on, it was much better. So I'm hoping that I'm not in trouble on that. Let's knock that thing off, and I'm going to get the background there off, and I'm going to drag this over now to the screen where I have my information. From a comment standpoint, really thank everyone for coming. Let's see what Scott says here. Scott says, hi, Jay. Will it suffice to restart my computer and only have StreamYard open for interviews when I'm ready to start? No, Scott, it won't. The reason is because when you restart your computer, those background programs I was showing you, many of them are set to automatically load as part of your system. And so you got to go in there and find them, right click on them and exit them temporarily. And then you do have things you can do later to tell it, these are startup programs I don't want, but then you'll lose the convenience of having them regularly. So restarting is something I always like to do. That gets me started before I broadcast. But then on top of that, do what I just now showed you, is go into those background programs and knocking off the ones that are not so important. Let's see. Sharon says, good morning. I'm going to have to rewatch. I need to know this info. She's day 980, only 20 more to 1,000. And Sharon Skinner Hoffmeister, that's the THE, SharonHoffmeister.com, has a wonderful online business that's all about going live. And she has a big following. And I'm real proud of her. Today is going to be the 980th consecutive day. So this is like, she's over 3 years almost. It's unbelievable. And 1,000 is going to be a big highlight celebration point for her. Congratulations, Sharon. Glad you're here. Randall's got a question. He says, I notice a lot of the corporate and public service in Trinidad and across the Caribbean band still have challenges with live presentations, camera placement, lighting, talking at the screen instead of engaging. The NGO I work with and assist with some of these bodies with their online events. Challenge is most of the decision makers who have to authorize these events are non-techie and get defensive when we reach out to manage their events. What approach can you recommend with these bodies? Well, what I would recommend, it's trying to get your way and be influential, is I would recommend that you might send them the link to this show. After you get done with it, you say, this is kind of nice, and send them the YouTube link, which is very easy to find and send out and share. And then the other thing is, recommend or not recommend, but volunteer to be part of the process improvement program. And they're aware of it. So remember, you want to criticize in private, praise in public. And so whoever you think is kind of in charge of this stuff or has the most amount of influence, then contact them privately, and they probably already know that what they're doing needs some help, and you just offer to be part of the team and say, can I be a volunteer? And cool things could happen. Certainly I've done that. And not long ago I had the opportunity to work with the big show in Charlotte with Jeffrey Gitomer and Jen and that big production, and I got to work the camera and do a lot of stuff. And in that case they needed extra hands, and I wanted to do it, and it was great. And then I worked with their LinkedIn before, and so I stepped in at their request to help them get the job done. And I do that with people, and it becomes a wonderful training opportunity for you to learn more things. And then I was always say, whenever you have a suggestion for improvement, offer to be part of the solution. Okay, here we go. Let's see what we got here. I see Randall says we're using video testimonials and have a strong word of mouth within this community. Cool. And Scott says, do you ask your interviewees to go in and manually close programs too? Just thinking that may be too much to ask for some non-technical folks. Scott, what I do is when I have my program and I have people that I'm interviewing, I do something that's somewhat painful for some of them, especially the old people that have been doing this for a long time. If we're going to go live on Friday morning, on Thursday night or Wednesday night, part of the program is that we get online and we have a chat and we do like a run through live on this without turning it on. And we talk to one another, we go over the topics, and I talk about all these different things that need to be done. And the things that you are going to see today are many of the things I talk about, and we fix them live, not live, but we fix them while we're talking in that tech prep kind of show that's not broadcast. And I've had probably over the last year and a half, I've had a couple of people think, I can't believe I'm, doing this, because they're used to coming on shows and winging it. But my show's not really that big of a wing it show. I have an outline, I have a time frame. It already looks like in this case we're going to go over, but the content is going to be so strong it's worth going over and making sure we hit all the points. But if they're not technical folks, I coach them right there, and we're talking just like this online with the exact program they're going to be using, and I'll show them how to do some things and get better. A lot of times they got plenty of bandwidth and it's not that big a deal. As the broadcaster and the person holding the StreamYard, I suck more juice out of the whole program than anybody else. And so it's very important to me as the primary broadcaster to have these things together. Good questions, Scott and Randall. Thank you so much for asking. So let's look now here at the other part of this getting started, and it has to do with the lighting settings and what you wear. People don't know this, but the lighting is so important. And some folks just say, well, get a circle light or something. Well, not necessarily. Pay attention to what you've got. I'm going to show you a couple things right here that you will go, wow, that's cool. I'm going to turn off the only artificial light I have in the room right now, and it's just a regular incandescent light bulb in a little holder pointing at the wall, and then the light is bouncing back at me. Just turn that right off. All the lights are off, but no, they're not. Sometimes people don't think of how much light these screens put off, and depending on what screensaver you have, that gets light and dark. So you need to practice. And then most of us have auto settings on our cameras, and I'm gonna put this back on. And in your auto, I love the auto settings. I think they're great. However, you need to understand how those auto settings are going to affect you in what you're doing. So watch this. You will see generally when I come online, I'll have something that's like light colored, not bright white, but certainly not black. And you may not know why, but I'm going to show you right now. And remember, I don't have big bright lights on me. It gives me a softer look. I'm broadcasting in the high def, which is an option on StreamYard. But let's see, if I showed up with a white shirt, There we go. I show up with a white shirt. Look what happens. See the adjustment? I'm going to pull this down. It changes the look. And so you need to pay attention if you're letting the auto feature in your camera run this, which I do. I'm okay with that. But look how it's going to change and darken everything this way. And you may like it. You may not like it. You just have to make a decision what you want people to see and pay attention to it. Now, if you show up in a dark shirt, watch this. Oh my gosh, this is gonna blow your mind. Had no idea the effect. I mean, some people show up to my show in a great big dark shirt, and here's what they're doing to themselves. Wash out. Let's do that again. I show up in a black shirt, and look what you get. Okay. Now, if you want to look like that, that's all right. This is the way I want to look. It's a soft lighting feeling in the combination of the camera, the auto settings on it, and my incandescent light bouncing off the wall right here, right there. And then the effect of the screens right there gets me what I want. So that's some material. We haven't even got to number one. Let's get through that. I'm going to set them and go over and see what we got with comments. Yep. Sharon says, oh my gosh, it washes you out. It does. You experiment with your own system. You'd be surprised what it looks like. And then, I mean, I'd had times when I was learning this, someone say, oh, you're all washed out or this or that. It's like, well, I worked on it and learned what some of the variables are. And you just have to experiment and understand how your camera works. And I like the camera in my laptop. And by the way, my laptop is sitting on a box and it's at eye level. That's a big deal too. And we're going to talk about framing here right now. You want to set it up with the camera even to your eyes. And I'm going to point right here. Hey, I'm going to put my finger right on the camera. There it is. There, that's where it is. And I have a little arrow right here, boop, pointing right to it. And it's like my old arrow said, look here. And I want to tell you, I'm going to show you real quickly the difference between looking at the camera, which is what I'm doing right now, and looking down at the pictures below, which is what most people do. Okay, so I'm looking and I'm talking to you about this. Now I'm going to look at the pictures below and I'm still talking. And this is where most people are looking. They're looking at the pictures of the people on the Zoom call and all that sort of stuff. And they're making their point. And they're looking at that stuff on the Zoom call, which is below. Now I'm going to look at the camera again. See the difference? See the connection? See how we're working together? If you make this connection with your audience, with the people you're talking to in the Zoom call, they might not necessarily know what you're doing. And you have to look away, do other things, maybe look at things, but every now and then, at least get back to that camera and look right at that spot and talk to the people. It makes a huge difference. There we go. Now, the other thing is the setup, and I talked about this, and I'm moving the lid on my laptop, which has the camera in it. But here's what most people show up to a meeting like. About like that. You get a big picture of their ceiling, and they're way down here. Look at the framing. Look where my head is in this frame. Now, I want you to go get on TV and watch the way they frame it. And this is with still pictures and video photography. And I did a lot of video back, believe it or not, when I was even in junior high with Super 8 film. I did editing and video there before video was even available. But see this? This is the framing you want. You don't want your head in the middle of the screen. You don't want it way down here like you're in a thing giving everybody a picture of your ceiling. You want it like this. And I'll tell you what, if you look at the way people frame things, sometimes people are in closer like this. Okay, and I'm looking right at the camera. Other times people want more of this. I tend to work right here in the middle, and then when I really got something to emphasize, I can come in on it. There you go. Look at the camera frequently. Now, I know when you're putting together a program and looking at things, there's a lot of stuff to look at. And I have notes or other things going on. And if it's a Zoom call, there's lots of people and I want to look at them sometimes. Remember, when you look at the people on the Zoom call, you're not looking at them. The only way you actually look at them and they feel like they're getting looked at is when you do what I'm doing right now, is look right in that camera. Be sure your lighting's intentional and does what you want it to. We just went through that. It's not necessarily you want great bright lights everywhere all on you. Okay, now here's a secret. You may not want that bright of lights on you. And I can tell you that my perspective, this soft lighting probably takes 15 years off or 10. I don't want a bunch of lights on here in high definition showing every little defect. Do you? Okay. Some people do. It's like they're all lit up, but they're beautiful. That's why they use makeup in professional studios, because they're using bright lights, and that's the default. And so they have to use makeup. Well, I'm not doing makeup every morning that I do one of these shows or every time I have a Zoom call. And so I want the lighting to present a nice, comfortable image people are happy to look at. So I hope you're happy to look at me right now. What about your glasses? Now look at my glasses right now. Now, when I look around, every now and then you'll see some reflection. Not much. Okay. When I bought these glasses, they gave me an option to pay some extra money to get non-reflective, non-glare coatings. And I don't know if you've done that before, but if you're like some people, you say, oh, I don't know if I need to spend that extra 50 or 60 or $100 or whatever it is. Watch this. Here's some old glasses before that goes back. These glasses are 20 years old, almost maybe 15. Before that was important to me, or I recognized it as being something we needed to do. Watch this. These are wonderful glasses. Same prescription. Look at this. I'm going to do it again. Here we go. And boom. There's my new glasses. I got another pair. I got two glasses. This one and another red set. These have the non-reflective, the top of the line coating on them to eliminate glare, computer screen glare. And then now let's see what this does. Look at this. Look at that. How many times have you been on a show and you see this in somebody's eyes? They need to buy glasses that have this coating on it. That's all. Isn't that wonderful? And when you're at the store buying the glasses, you can do their test glasses and stand in the light and experiment yourself in front of the mirror to understand the effect that that's going to have. Who would have known it, huh? Light shirts versus dark ones. Know what it does to your picture. Talked about that. Here's a reminder. Show up with a black shirt. Ooh, look what you get. Oh my gosh. Now, you can adjust the camera, but most people are on automatic, and that's where I like to be anyway. Let's see if I got some other things. Randall says, great tips. Glad you like it, Randall. And let's see. Sharon says, well, I'm going to have to look at mine tonight and see if they have a glare. Yeah, please do. You'd be surprised what's out there and this is happening in some of the shows that it happens on, or with some of the people it happens on. You'd be surprised. But you can be the one that presents yourself in a way that really does well. See that right there in the camera? I'm talking to you. USB microphone versus the built-in quality. No echo. Know how to adjust your speakers and mic on the fly. Okay, so because I don't want to accidentally knock myself off the program, I'm going to be careful on the things that I show you here, but I'm not going to disconnect my mic now because I might not get it back in the course of this broadcast. But I will show you that I have what they call a JLab USB mic, and it plugs into my computer, and it has two settings on it. This is directional, and so it's coming to me this way. And you're like this. This is omnidirectional, and it's supposed to be allowing, like, you put it in the middle of the table and hear all around it. So I'm going with directional, and it sits down right here in front of me, and you don't even see it, but it's catching what's going on here with me. And then the other part is that through settings, you just need to know how to make adjustments. On StreamYard, there's a thing called settings, and I can get to it in the middle of things, but the best idea is set up in the experimental side. Test what you're doing. On Zoom, there's all sorts of settings. Get in there and play with it. Test the audio, test the video, understand how the settings go, because if you get in the middle of a show or a meeting and things start going wrong, boy, isn't it nice to be the one that says, hold on, you know where to go, you get it, rather than standing there and being the, you know, you let the computer take over your life and you're feeling helpless. It's about practice. That's all it is. It's about practice and knowing the buttons and what they might do and experimenting with them in advance before you get in the hot seat. And I mentioned earlier about no echo. There's settings on almost all these things that will make it so that what you're saying here isn't coming back at you in the microphone. And that way it eliminates echo. And then when you have other people talking, one of the things is just turn your speakers down a little bit. And most of the time, if you're using the standard settings in your laptop, if you just turn your speakers down a little bit, you can hear everybody and it's not going to create a big echo. And you can have a button under settings that says no echo or echo prevention, and it will work to prevent that as well. So I am set up now. When I have my guests, I don't wear the head plugs or the headphones or anything. I've got it right here in my speakers. I can hear them just fine. They can hear me and there's no echo. So that's another thing, understanding your settings. Keyboard sounds, you've heard it before. There are keyboards that you can buy that have like padding in them or something, so that when you're typing, it doesn't go click, 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 click. You know about that. I'm not going to start typing on my keyboard right now for fear of where I'll type or what I'll do. But you've heard it, and it's kind of annoying, especially if someone's taking copious notes during a meeting. So if you don't have the kind of keyboard that's quiet, then go over here to mute and just click mute while you're tapping, and then be aware that you're on mute. That's the trick there. And speaking of mute your cell phone up front. Know where mute is on your broadcast to allow sneezing without sound. You didn't hear that, did you? How about that? I know where the mute key is. How about that? Be prepared. Now, here's another thing that you may not realize in training. We hear about this. I'm going to see what I got here. Take notes. My yellow pad, I was taking notes on it and went somewhere else. But I would typically have, and this is a good example here, but I would typically have a yellow pad if I was in a Zoom call right here, and make sure that I'm framed. Remember, you want to frame where your head's at the top, and then you can decide if you're going to be all the way in like this. I think that's a little much for me. I like to have a little distance, and I want people to kind of see what's going on. See, and I can be taking my notes. Be obvious that this is interesting to you and it's important to you, and you're taking some notes. You do that visibly, it sends a message to the rest of the people. It really does. Here we go. Oh, by the way, I just have 15, so we're almost done. Have notes and cheat sheets laying around for easy reference. Do you have things that you always like to say, and you want to say them just exactly the same way every time? Then put it on a 3x5 card and tape it to your computer. Have them laying around. If they're just for this thing, or there's particular points that you want to make sure you hit, have them laying around. I like to have mine here. I've got a couple right here that are key things that I always say, that I always talk about, that are quotes that I think are important. And I don't want to forget it. I don't want to say them wrong. It's like, you don't have a revenue problem. You have a don't know how to sell problem. It's one of my quotes. Something that I talk about with people sometimes when we're talking about sales and selling and making more money in their business. And I want to say it just right. So there it is, right there. I like to talk about when people say they're retired. It's like, no, let's just say repurposed. And what I'm here to do is help you reinvent, restart, and rebuild. Reinvent, restart, and rebuild. Or you're not retired. It's a new day. And arguably, I think I'm doing a lot of reinvent, restart, and rebuilding about every 3 months, and honing the sharp edges off of what I'm doing to try to be better. But those are words and ways I like saying stuff that are powerful, and they've always been that way. So put them up where you can see them, and put them on the wall or where you can see them. So when you're on the telephone, it's the same thing. Know your software, settings, features, how to recover from glitches, adjusting audio, video, and sharing screens. I mean, it's like something more frustrating than if you don't really know your software and you don't know how to work it and you're getting ready to say, okay, I'm going to do here. Oh, let's see if I know how to share this screen. Uh, what button do I push? It's like, oh my gosh. You know, in the book of Genesis, when God created the earth and he gave man dominion over the animals and the birds of the field and the hills of the streams, and I'm sure that all of nature had they had computers at the time and know what they were, he would have said, and God gave man dominion over computers. It just wouldn't have made any sense at that time. However, who's running the show? Is the computer running you or are you running it? This is just a machine. It's just doing what you tell it to do. You just need to know how to talk to it. And if you're having problems in that area, get some lessons. Spend some time or money or whatever it takes with somebody to get you through this so that you show up looking like you're prepared and knowledgeable using the tools and the machines that you're using. Now, think about it. This is a machine. Certainly, if you were working in a factory and your machine was some sort of a fancy lathe or CNC machine or something, you would be expected to know how to work it and use it and troubleshoot it. So, are you able to use the machines and the equipment that's important to your business today? Or are you a little bit, not that great? Not that great's not that impressive. You can change. Let's see what we got here. There's a comment from Randall, and he says, here we go. He says, be conscious of your video and audio mute. I was not aware on a private coaching session with Jeffrey Gitomer. Now I live ignominy on his training channel. I live ignominy. Okay, Randall, I'm a word guy. You're exactly right. You need to be aware of all that. That's a great point. Now, what I want to know is what's ignominy mean? Okay, so let's just Google that thing. Let's all Google it together. Oh, you did it for me. In shame. Thank you, Randall. Thank you for doing it. Ignominy. I guess that's how we say it. I like that. It's a new word. I'm going to use it. I live in ignominy. Okay. Well, you are one of the highly regarded people in the Gitomer group, so there's not much shame with you. But that does remind me of something. This is a little aside. Here's bonus content, everyone. Two things. If someone says something you don't know what it is or what they mean, don't just keep nodding your head like, oh man, if I let them know I don't know what they mean, then I'm stupid and they'll know they'll think I'm stupid. No, just stop. Tell them, I don't know what this means. Let's help me out here. Why? Because you care about what they're saying and you want to make sure that you communicate well together and that you're not missing something important. And then they will also have more trust in you because you just stop everything and find out what they're talking about. The same thing goes with words, acronyms. If someone's using an acronym, I was like, oh, of course, we got the PSA and the GTY over here and the HMY. It's like, you're going, I don't know what the HMY is. They say, okay, time out, please. What does that mean? Now, you may be one of the big guys in that industry, and someone's going to, in their own, insecure way, want to try to belittle you for not knowing that particular, 3 letters and what it means, but that's their problem. You find out what it means, get smarter, and that will show trust, and they'll know that you're not just sitting there nodding your head and not understanding. So there you go. Bonus material. And Randall says, I went to school when we still had to learn 20 new words a week. Me too. Remember vocabulary? Yeah, that was great. And I think vocabulary is great too. Okay, so where was I? We talked about know your software. Now here we go. Be entertaining. If you have an instrument on the wall or in the background, play it. How many times I've gotten online when someone's got a guitar hanging on the wall or a keyboard in the background or a grand piano or something, say, well, hey, let me hear some. That's not fair. If you're going to show it, use it. And when I'm doing my show anyway, I go ahead and play. And if you're just not that good, or you not able to play a little something or get a tune going, I don't know, maybe you don't want to put it on the screen and get the conversation started. I wouldn't have a keyboard here if I couldn't play it. And then when I do, I play it, and people never forget, and they have some fun. It's kind of cool. So remember, this is showbiz. This is my TV show. This is your TV show. Be on it. Have a nice still picture headshot to replace your video if you need to bow out for a second or blow your nose. Okay, so that works. And in this case, I don't know if I'm able to demonstrate that or not. I'm going to just click one thing. There, it has to do with turning off your video, but still having a representation of yourself on the screen. And I'm not going to try for that right here, but it's like you can upload a picture to your Zoom or your GoToMeeting and that sort of thing. And then if you turn off the video, then there's a picture there of you. Have a nice one. There's a picture of you, a professional photograph. And those of you that have been out there with me or on some types of shows or whatever, you get on my LinkedIn stuff, you'll see I have some professional photographs. I have some not so professional ones. Just a photograph that shows you being happy, looking good. Make sure you've got that. And it's a great way because you can turn the video off, you can back out of this, and you can blow your nose or whatever you have to do, and then turn it back on, and nobody even knows what you did. It's kind of cool. Okay. You don't have to explain to everybody when you did it. Okay. Watch out the time and orchestrate the event. This is one of the few times that I've taken my show over 30, 35 minutes. And the reason is because it's full of content that's super valuable, and I don't want you to miss it. And I want people to listen to it and watch it and really get something substantial out of it. I always say substance plus style equals success. And this has got a lot of substance that I hope you're learning from. And, I want you to be glad you came. Finally, record the session and play it back every single time. Every time. All these programs allow you to record them. Turn on the recorder, and then when the show's over or your presentation's over, your talk's over, just go back into the recording and take a look at it and see what you got. There you go. Randall, I'm going to play you a song. Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad everybody is entertained on these shows, and then I'm glad that you also learn. Record and watch yourself and get better. And just understand that when you get on the recording, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I look terrible. I can't believe this the first time. I don't even you might not like how you sound. There's any number of things. It's okay. Just keep doing it. Remember, you've probably been doing it for a couple of years without critiquing yourself like this. Now start critiquing yourself. Start getting better. If you watch it and say, well, here's some things I should do better next time. I don't mean get on the next Zoom call and then tell everybody everything you did wrong before. It's like you don't need to be self-deprecating. You just be self-improving and just keep getting better. Watch my first month worth of go lives from a year and a half ago, and then watch the ones today. There's a big difference, and I can still get better, and I want you to get better. So with that, I want to thank you all for coming. Go to my website, WJAYSkinner@AOL.com. You can write to me through there, and yeah, I'm probably their last customer. But I also want you to go to pdtassociates.com. You can go to thejskinner.com. You can go to theceoextender.com. It all take you to the same place. Get to know me. Please connect with me. Love to talk to you. Love to be your friend. And so let's see if I have any final comments. That's Scott Woodworth. Thank you so much, Scott, for coming. This is great. He says, great stuff, Jay. Thanks for putting it out there. I'm a new user with Dub, StreamYard, and Spreaker. And I'm going to have to find out what Spreaker is. Scott, good. Thanks for dropping that. I don't know Spreaker. But yeah, you and I are all big users, and we enjoy Dub and StreamYard. And I'm going to find out what Spreaker is. But thanks for getting on board and sharing. And, you said Spreaker, Spreaker. I am going to get on that and find out. Great. Thanks for coming, Scott. Everyone, I want to thank you all for being here. This has been the Buyers and Sellers Show every Friday live at 10:35 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get on a little bit early. I play piano while we're catching things, and really want to say thank you for coming. Randall, you too. Thank you for coming. Everyone, thanks for being here. Let's get out of here. And one of my favorite, I love the blues and jazz and old time rock and roll feeling songs. I get my pedal over here where I can press it. Ticket to ride. Oh, now she's got a ticket to ride. But she don't care. No. Bum, 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 bum. See you next week. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you here. I'm Jay Skinner, and this has been the Buyers and Sellers Show.